Welcome to the first day of class. Today, this video is going to show you how to navigate within my classroom, whether that is online or in the actual seats and desks. I'm going to show you Google Classroom, and I'm going to show you our classroom website. Off we go. So the first thing you need to know is that you can access Google Classroom and what we're doing in class in any place that you can open up Google. So whether that's on your smart TV at home or on your phone or your device or your Chromebook, anywhere you can open Google, you can open it. So go ahead right now and open a Google. Whoosh. When you open Google, you're going to see these little things in the corner, Gmail, images, and this waffle thing over here. Okay, I'm going to point to it in case you can't see it, right there. If you are signed in as yourself, you're going to click on Gmail and your Gmail will open up. That will be your email. If it's not the student who's at Sycamore Valley, then you cannot access Google Classroom. So you might need to sign out. Many students come and tell me, oh, I can't access it at home. That's because they're logged in on their personal accounts at home. It must be the student's account at sycamorevalleyacademy.org. Okay, so once you got that, and you've clicked on the waffle, you've clicked on the classroom icon because it's commonly used. If it is not commonly used by your child, then you can just go ahead to the address bar and type in classroom.google.com, and then the page should show up. I am a teacher, so these are all the classes that I teach. But your child is not a teacher, so it will be all the classes they're enrolled in. Now, let's be honest, some teachers at the end of the year, they forget to unenroll your child from the classroom. And some teachers make a new Google Classroom every single year, which means it's sitting there with them enrolled in it. So they need to, your child can actually unenroll themselves, I believe, just in case the teacher forgot. But you just want to kind of clear out the classes you're not currently enrolled in. If you are looking for the classroom and it's not there, you're probably going to need to add this plus sign. And your teacher has given a code that you can enter the code and then join the class. However, before you do that, I would go check your email account, because in the student email account is typically an invitation to join the classroom. It is a wise decision to regularly check your email as soon as you log in, because that's where you're going to get a lot of the new assignments were posted, assignments were graded and handed back, things like that. So our classroom this year is going to be called Room 21B, and it looks just like this. And there's a few tabs at the top that you need to be aware of. The first one is stream. If you want to consider a stream as when the stream of students walk in the classroom, this is what the teacher says to them. So you can see below that it says Amberly Brenner posted a new assignment, chapter quizzes, posted new material. So these are things to be like, hey, this is what's new, this is what's happening. This next tab here says Classwork. This is the most important tab that you're going to have to deal with, because it's literally all the assignments in the classroom. This final tab that you need to be concerned about is grades. This Google Classroom typically does grading on an averaging, which is not what SVA puts on the report cards. So let's say, for example, that there is 5 writing assignments for narrative. And if I assigned all 5 of them, and your student got a 50% and a 50% and an 80% and a 10% and a 50%, your child will get an F in writing. But that's not how SVA works. SVA is going to say, okay, let's take that one writing they got an 80% in, and that's the one that goes on the report card. So what I mean to say is, when you're looking at the grade your child earned in Google Classroom, that is not necessarily the grade that goes on the report card. Okay, it's just a means to keep track of what is and is not being done in the virtual world. All right, so that being said, let's click on Classwork, and ta-da! Here is all your classwork that appears. So for this year, we're going to be writing narratives, we're going to be writing informative, we're going to be writing persuasive, we're going to be reading a book called Bud Not Buddy, we're going to be reading Percy Jackson, and we're going to be reading The Cheating Purse. We're going to be doing something from the history textbook and some other fun history stuff, and hitting some different religious beliefs, all the way from Jesus to Buddha and everything in between. So this is kind of all our classwork. And if you look at the heading, religion, history, the orange words, it kind of lets you know what subject we're under. And this is kind of I like to post the whole the whole year's worth of work, not just trimester by trimester. So it's kind of like the syllabus here. So let's just pretend then that the first assignment that your child is going to do is writing narratives. So you click on classwork, you click on writing narratives, and the assignment opens up and it looks like this. So I have here 5 different examples of narratives. So we may have listened to these in class. I may have assigned your student to listen to them at home. But these are examples of different narratives. Sometimes if your child can't think of a narrative, they could just take one of these videos and turn it into the written word, right? And so some kids just, can't think of something, so that works. But this is just material for the assignment. The assignment is not here. In essence, your child hasn't taken out a piece of paper to do the assignment yet. So the first thing they need to do is take out a paper to do the assignment. And in the virtual world, that means they click on the assignment, and then this pops up, and it looks like this. So they want to add or create an assignment. I prefer if they create the assignment right here, and I'll show you why in just a second. Once you click add or create, you get these different options. The first option says from Google Drive or a link or a file. So in other words, if they did the assignment somewhere else, like they did it on a Google Doc not connected, they can simply link it right here. But that's what makes it a little tricky. I don't want students opening a blank Google Doc somewhere else and writing assignments and then going to find it later. That's kind of like the old school version of a teacher hands you a worksheet to do at your desk, and you say, oh no, I'm going to do it on this other sheet of paper over here, and then I'm going to find it and staple it to this one, right? I mean, we can figure it out, but it gets kind of complicated. In this case, I would rather have the students click on which kind of paper that they need. So typically in my class, it's going to be a document. A document is like written words. I've had students before click on drawings and try to turn that in, and I just click return and I don't even grade it. I hand it back and make them start again. And sheets, as you know, is kind of like a more mathematical thing. So in my class, you're typically going to click on documents. All right. Once you've clicked on documents, some fancy little things happen. First of all, the student's name appears, and I made my son, Brenner, log in, and he started this assignment, and so his name appears and the title of the assignment appears. Right? So he doesn't have to worry about finding where is it, what happened to it, where to go. If he can't find it, I would say it's called Ancient Narrative, search for it, and then it would pop up. Another thing that we need to be aware of are these 2 buttons here. We have Turn In and we have the Share button. The Turn In button means, number 1, you are actually in Google Classroom and you're in the right place. If the button is not there, you're not in the classroom. You're in some other cyber world. So I need this Turn In button here. When you click Turn In, I will receive a notification on my phone and in my email that the student has actually turned in the assignment. Okay. Then this other button here, Share, is very interesting to note. Share means your child is able to share their assignment with any other teacher in the school and any other student in the school. So theoretically, the student, Ben here, he could click Share and list 5 of his best friends, some of who are in 8th grade, some of them who are in 3rd grade, and they can all write on his assignment and help him with spelling and help him with his conclusion and pretty much kind of cheat, right? Totally possible. So kids think they're clever in the fact that they're cheating or their friend did it for them or, or they're texting each other back and forth using a Google Doc. We actually have software in the classroom where I can watch them so they can't actually get away with it. But there are circles that appear here for every other user who is also on the document. So when I'm walking around and looking at computer screens, if I see that 5 other students are also on this student's assignment, I get a little suspicious. And in fact, there is actually a button that I can choose where I click under the history of the document and I can see who typed what at what time. So cheating is a little bit more difficult. But I just wanted to make everyone aware that it is possible to share their work with other people. Now, some students actually do share work that they don't do in Google Classroom and they share it with me, and I just, read it on the weekend and go, oh, cute story, or oh, I'm glad you told me, or, something that's outside of the classroom assignments that they wanted me to read. So now we're back on my teacher page. And so under my teacher page, it looks like here that 0 students have turned in that narrative, but 1 student it was assigned to. And so I can see that the 1 student it was assigned to, he started writing something, right? But did not turn it in. I can list the grade right here if I wanted to. But I'm just going to say it to the student. I'm going to say, great job. You started it, but did not turn it in. Okay. So now I'm going to go, as a teacher, I'm going to go into his work and I'm going to give him some feedback. So I'm going to look at the word uncle here and I'm going to note that he forgot an apostrophe. And if you see something written in green, or pink, I typically like to use green or pink, that means that I made a suggestion. So if you look at the green letters here, I wrote, break this into 3 different paragraphs. Be sure you have 1 paragraph to introduce the character before you get into the plot. So then now the student is going to go, okay, now I'm going to make different paragraphs, and he's going to make some edits. And so that way in real time, I can edit the student as they're writing. And so for some students, I find that very, very helpful. As a teacher, I have 3 different settings here: editing, suggesting, and viewing. Under editing, that means I'm actually going to make the changes for the student. In this case, I'm actually going to put an apostrophe for uncle. And other times I can click suggesting, which means the student is going to have to pick yes or no of whether they want to keep that suggestion. So all these things on the side here are very important. So take a look at all the things on the side here, and we're going to go over them all separately because they're very important in our classroom. So let's just zoom in here really quick. So you can see in green, I've suggested that the student add an apostrophe, and that's why it's in green. And then the blue line, we all know that the blue line is something's wrong with the grammar there. All right, so let's take a close look. First, it says not returned. This is a note for the teacher, so I know that the student can't make editing marks, or can't do any editing while I'm actually grading it at this point. So it is not returned to the student. So I could click return and the student could get it. Then the other thing we're going to look at is the grade here. So even though the student did not turn it in yet, I can still give them a grade. So they can know, the student say, oh, I'm about halfway done. Okay. And then there's these private comments. I could write something here like, good start, or strong structure, or this is not your best work, but this is only a comment that the student would be able to read. And then we have these sneaky little boxes over here that you're going to have to scroll over to look at. Okay, and we're going to look a little bit closer at them. We have this X here called reject suggestion. What that means is, say for example, we're talking about a student named Abigail, and let's say they spelled Abigail not the traditional way. So I would suggest the traditional spelling. But of course the student would say, no, I'm going to reject that because that's not how my friend Abigail spells her name. She spells it A-B-E-E, or G-A-L-E, And so they're going to reject the suggestion. Once they push an X, it will undo what the teacher wrote and put it back to the original. If they click the check mark, then it would keep the suggestion and leave it there. So far, we've kind of gone over how to navigate within Google Classroom. I've kind of showed you a little bit about Google Classroom. I showed you how to navigate around. I've showed you how to start an assignment, how to turn it in, and now I'm going to show you just a little bit of our classroom website. There are lots of questions I'm going to be getting. Most of the answers can be found on the website. So take a second, write that down, or pause the video and write it down. All right, here is the website. The website has a few tabs at the top: home, books for reading, schedule, and newsletter. And so these, not all the resources are done yet because we're still getting new resources all the time, but it should be up and running soon with all these different resources. Take a close look and you can see our math stuff and the actual textbook we're doing. and then different things to help out there. And we're going to have much more links going on with these things. But our fancy thing that we're all concerned about is SciCon. So there is a link down here that actually sends you to the SciCon information and SciCon forms. And once we get the dates for SciCon, I'll put them in here for you. And so you'll always know. The links lead you actually right here. So I will send to hard copies home of SciCon things, but in case you lose them, can't find them, I will just say, check our website, because right there on the website, it will link you to everything that you need for SciCon. The other things is on our website, it's going to tell you that the books we're reading in class. So if there's an assignment in class, like Percy Jackson chapter 15, and your child says, oh, I left the book at school, oops, can't do it. Oh, I left it at home, teacher, I can't do it at school, right? And that's why I put these resources on the website. So if book reading is not really an option, now we have book listening. So the 3 main books that we'll be reading in class this year, all the chapters are lined up here. And with each book, there's a little bit of help. And in the case of Percy Jackson, we really need to know the, genealogy of all the different gods. That's a little tricky. And so I guess that means school's out now. And that's my classroom. That's my classroom. So the main point is here, whether we are in a classroom or online, your kids are going to get a great education this year. We are building everything around and building everything up with lots of support built in for all kinds of different learning styles, different brains, and different interests. On behalf of all of Sycamore Valley and all the new construction, and me and my 2 dogs at the bottom, welcome to the 2020-2021 school year.